Hello everyone and welcome to LEWAS Amplified. My name is Alex Malouf and you are joining me on our very first episode. We're going to address the elephant in the room when it comes to diversity and inclusion matters, particularly in the energy sector. So the future of work is here. Are employers and also employees as well ready to keep up? Now, this isn't anything strange to people who worked in the industry for a while. The writing has been on the wall for many years, many decades. Digitalization has promised a new era for working life. But obviously, we also need to transform cultures as well. And that's an area which has lagged until the pandemic, until COVID-19. So who are the real winners and losers in terms of this transformation, which we have seen over the past 2 years? Many workers have made big wins from remote work, such as savings on transport, better work-life arrangements, and also more autonomy as well. Then there have been the less fortunate. Your experiences differ depending on your personal situations, such as space, children, responsibilities at home, and the nature of your job itself. So let's talk about what helps employees bring their A game to work and touch upon some of the more difficult, harder to discuss topics. So let's come to the burning question. Is there room for women in STEM in this new hybrid model, in this new world of work? And we have an incredible person who's joining us today. We have, for our very first episode, Sheila Al-Raweli. She is the CEO of Wisayat, which is a subsidiary of Saudi Aramco. Sheila is one of the most impressive women in the industry. She's been named by Heart Energy as one of the 25 top most influential women in the energy space. She joined Saudi Aramco in 1998 as a money market trader and now works as director of the investment management department. She credits her rich experiences for her leadership development, which paved the way for her roles in finance, investment, risk management, planning, and energy economics. Sheila, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me, and thank you for the very kind introduction. It's really a pleasure for me to be on the first episode of LEWAS Amplified.
Well, Sheila, it's an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you. So let's jump in. We've talked about, we've touched on the issue of the changing nature of jobs, and also as well the need for employees to reskill. Tell us about what you're seeing in this space when it comes to the energy sector, and also as well when it comes to gender diversity.
No doubt, there is a big challenge for both employees and employers in light of the changing job market. The future of jobs, as we know, is really transforming. We have been seeing many jobs and many occupations kind of becoming more and more extinct and less in demand. Particularly those smaller jobs like the clerical, administrative, and support services. What employees need to do is think about the future. What are the jobs that they see are going to be in demand 5-10 years from now, and position themselves to be ready for those opportunities, such as digitalization. All the STEMs disciplines are going to be more and more in demand. That applies to women particularly, as you know, whether in the current job market or even in universities. The applications for STEM for women is much lower than that for men or boys. So it's really a responsibility of policymakers as well as employers to encourage and sponsor women at an earlier stage in their careers to move more into, the sciences and math and IT as a occupation or as a specialization, which is growing more and more in demand, as I mentioned. As for the young employees, including the young men and women, as I said, knowing what industries are looking for and what is going to be required a few years from now, they need to start putting more effort in self-development and looking for certifications, workshops, etc., to get the skills that are required to be employable when that shift happens.
Now, Sheila, let's look at the side of the employers. You've been an executive for many years, one of the most influential women in the energy space. What do employers need to do when thinking about this new culture, this new work culture that we have? How can they adapt? And also as well, how can they also help their employees to adapt?
There are many ways that an employer can support employees. We know that there are a lot of challenges in the current environment, whether it's COVID-driven or industry-driven, economic situation, impact on different businesses, different sectors. So employers need to realize two things. One, the employers and the companies need to be agile and flexible to be able to maintain productivity. At the same time, they need to provide their employees with enough incentives and enough flexibility to retain those employees, because some sectors, the demand for certain specializations make it difficult for employers to retain. At the same time, when you are employing more women, you know that women, as they become homemakers, they sometimes have to sacrifice their careers in order to, support their families in terms of taking care of children, being there for their children as they grow up. So as an employer, you need to look at your policies and adapt to these new requirements that should support your employees in general. One thing that I would think is important is think about rejoiners, female rejoiners, that is. As you know, as women get into family status and having children, they need to be maybe away from their jobs. And some of them we have seen a lot through my experience, and in the past few years, they leave their job to be with their children as they grow up. But 10 years later, they find that they have the ability to rejoin the job market, but it seems that the train has left the station already for them, and they are challenged with skills, with finding employment and reintegrating in the job market. And this is where employers need to be supportive. We need to put policies to help women come back to the same position that they left, or at least to the same company when they left it. We need to help those women, in development and training for things that they have missed when they left the job. Industries change, policies change, regulations change. So they need to be brought up to speed as they rejoin their jobs or their companies again. And it is something that a company can do. And I know that certain companies around the world are doing that already. And it is yielding really favorable outcomes for the company and for the women as a whole. A lot of talent that is untapped can be brought back to the company or to the job market if we do invest in that.
Thank you, Sheila. Great points you just made. I'm curious as well to know, how did you and your team at Wasayat manage with the initial lockdowns? How did you adapt?
Well, it was really a learning experience for us. There was no time to test your system. As we know, COVID hit hard, and we found ourselves dealing with challenges that we were not ready for. If we talked, if you ask me in 2 years ago, in 2019, about work from home arrangements, I would have perhaps pushed back and not even entertained the thought. When COVID-19 happened, lockdowns and all the measures that needed to be put in place, we opted overnight to have everybody work from home. And to my surprise, productivity went up, people's commitment was amazing. We were able to deliver on every single initiative, and even not meet the deadlines, beat the deadlines. We were able to finish some initiatives ahead of deadlines. So we learned a lot. It took us maybe close to a year to come back to the office, but that year we learned so much about how flexible companies can be. You can employ remotely, which we did. We added several outstanding team members to the company, which we never met in person until a few months back. As I mentioned, we changed our policies for working from home, and now we are putting long-term policies for work from home that we will adopt for the long run. It will help us attract and retain more people who need that flexibility, who can add a lot of value while being somewhere else, maybe in the world, or taking care of family requirements or family needs, etc. So as a leader, it's really a mind shift, a complete mind shift of how flexible an organization can be without compromising productivity, without compromising culture, talent, and all of what a company needs to thrive and to grow. So again, there is a silver lining. We don't want it to stay for long. As the health and safety of people is our number one concern. But you learn from difficult experiences, and I'm happy to see that we have learned a lot in such a short time.
That's a great story, Sheila. Last question from me. If you're going to pass on 3 takeaways, 3 insights to both employers and employees in terms of the workplace of the future, and also gender, what would they be? What would you tell both employers and employees to do?
I'll start with gender, because this is very dear to my heart. I have been in Aramco for more than 20 years, and I have been always active and trying to address gender and diversity issues. And I think we have come a long way, but there's still more to do. For employers, from what I have experienced, the more exemplars you have in the organization, the more you can achieve in terms of equal opportunities and gender diversity. Exemplars meaning male advocates that can help women be integrated, that can help in adding more women and empowering more women. Because when male colleagues see those exemplars, they can relate and they can follow suit. For employees, I believe that we can always help employees, or employees actually can help themselves by keeping an open mind to what's out there and how can I change my skills or add to my skills, and take a risk actually on myself by enrolling in new courses and new workshops that will equip me with the tools that I need for the future jobs. in any job, even if this job is going to continue and is going to be required for the long run, you need to always keep yourself updated. You need to keep developing, because even your current skills will not be the same after 5 years. So self-development is the number one advice I give to any employee. As I mentioned, the second or the third takeaway is actually helping women rejoin the workforce. I keep saying it, and I think, and I know from colleagues and friends that have left, the biggest challenge for them is to find new opportunities or to find employment altogether. So as employers, we have a role in bringing those women back and benefiting from the talent and the skills that they can bring to the job. I hope that I covered 3 areas, even though I have so many takeaways, which we can discuss at a later time.
We have, Sheila. The points you made were incredible, and what is obvious is we are not going to be going back. The industry needs to understand, everybody in the industry, that this is the work design of the future. And we have, all of us have so much to gain from adapting, which you have shown us from your own example. So thank you for your time, Sheila. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you, Alex. It has been my pleasure as well. And I'm telling you, this is a passion of mine, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much once again, Sheila Rawady. And before we leave you, just one more point. If there's any other subject that you want us to discuss, especially hard-hitting subjects, please do share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for listening. We're going to see you next time with a new host, with a new guest, and a new topic at LEWAS Amplified. Till then, take care.